Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here with a video for My Favorite Things. I'm super excited to be back this week with Camp Create Session 2. This is our second week of summer camp here on the MFT YouTube channel as well as the blog. And this is just a fun week where we all kind of go back to summer camp, we get creative, we hang out, and we make some really fun stuff. So there's all kinds of ways that you can participate. You can leave comments for chances to win gift vouchers to MFT, or you can participate every day of the week with each of the challenges that we offer, and you can be eligible for the grand prize. So for today's craft activity, we are going to do some foiling. So I have the New York Skyline die from My Favorite Things, and I also have a piece of deco foil toner paper. I trimmed that down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I ran it through my die cutting machine with the New York Skyline so that I have this great border on it now. And then I also have a piece of foil, also from deco foil. This is the teal, and I'm going to foil this whole piece that I've cut out with the New York Skyline. Now there's a few different ways that you can do foiling. You can use foil pens. They're like glue pens, and you can add glue directly to your cardstock piece and then foil directly on top of that. You can use heat, which is what we're going to do today. I'm going to be using my Mink Mini, but you can also use a laminator. It works just as well. I've actually foiled both ways and they both work, so whatever you have on hand. So for today's video, like I said, I'm going to be using my Mink Mini. This is just going to apply heat to the foiling. So I've taken my foil and I've placed it on top of the toner paper, and you want the nice side of the foil to be on top. And I've let my Mink Mini warm up here, so once the light turns green, I know it's ready to go. And I've inserted my die cut piece as well as the foil into a little carrier sheet there. It's just a plastic piece that kind of sandwiches the foil and the die cut piece together. And then I'm letting it run through my mini machine. So you can see here it's kind of, I put it through the bottom, and now it's working its way through the machine and comes out at the top. And when it comes out, it is hot, so you want to be careful. You don't want to burn your fingers. And I like to just wave it around in the air. I don't know if that does anything. I just think it cools it down a bit. So I like to give it a little wave, and then I like to take my finger and kind of rub along the whole die cut piece. I don't know if that does anything either, but I just feel like it helps to really make sure that that foil is secure on that toner paper. And then when you peel it off, you can see here that I have this great foiled piece. This was just that black toner paper piece, but now it's completely foiled with the teal foil, and I just absolutely love the great look that it gives this piece. It makes it shiny and fun and unexpected on your card design. Now before I put my Mink Mini away, I do want to do foiling on a little heart die cut as well. We're going to use this on the card. So I just went ahead and die cut a little heart image from one of the Blueprints Dynamics die sets, and I used a small piece of red deco foil, and I just put it into my carrier sheet the exact same way, and I ran it through my Mink Mini, and you can see it's coming out the other end here. I'm going to give it a little wave like I did before, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove that piece, and I'm going to end up with a tiny little red foiled heart. So now I have these two foil pieces that I'm going to be able to use on my card design, and it's just a fun way to add a little bit of an unexpected look to your card. You get this great shiny detail on these die cut pieces, and I just love the way it looks, and it adds a little something more to your finished card design. So now that we have everything foiled, we can go ahead and actually work on the card that we're going to put these foiled pieces onto. So I have a couple of masks here. These are the Stitch Cloud Edge dies. I've went ahead and cut these out of Inkadinkado masking paper, and I actually just keep these masks right in my die envelope. I just kind of put them in the back, and I've reused these a ton of times. So you can see there's all kinds of ink on these masks. It's completely dry. It's not going to transfer onto my cardstock panel here that I'm using. So I love that you can kind of reuse your masks over and over. I will admit though, this was the last time that I used them. I ended up ripping 2 of them when I was doing this card. So I ended up throwing them away and making new ones, but they have lasted me for quite some time, so it's definitely worth it to kind of tuck them away in your die set and hang on to them because they can definitely be reused over and over. So I'm creating a background here, and what I'm doing is I'm creating a soft inked cloud background, and this is one of my favorite ways to kind of create a little bit more detail and dimension onto the back of a cardstock panel. I just think it looks so neat with all the different clouds. They look so puffy and billowy. I just think it's really, really pretty, and I really like the cracked pistachio. I know that we don't have mint clouds, that's not really a thing, but I think it looks so pretty and so soft, and I just really like the unexpected look that it kind of adds to the card. And I thought with the teal foil, it really blended well with the card design. So once I got the background finished, I decided that I wanted to put a little bit of a shadow behind the foil piece. So I cut out that same New York skyline with some steel gray cardstock. And now I'm just using some liquid adhesive to add adhesive to the entire back area of this die cut. And I like to use the liquid adhesive just because there's so many little small areas at the top of these little buildings. And this just allows me to make sure that I get adhesive on all those parts and that everything is going to be fully adhered down to the card front. So once I had it fully covered with the adhesive, I went ahead and adhered this down first, and I kind of positioned it kind of a little higher up on the cardstock panel because I'm going to be covering the bottom area with some more cardstock pieces. And I positioned it so I had all of the cloud area at the top. So when I put this down, you can see I have all that great cloud detail behind instead of just a regular white panel. And it just adds a little bit more detail than if I would have just add ink directly to the panel and not use the cloud dynamic. So I just think it adds so much interest and dimension to the card. So I adhered this down, and I'm just going to trim the excess off of the side so that it's all one size here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the foil piece. I'm going to take the same liquid adhesive and I'm going to add it completely to that whole piece and make sure I get all of the top areas of the buildings. And then I'm adhering this down slightly offset so that you can see some of the steel gray behind the foil piece, kind of making it look like a shadow. It almost makes the foil piece look like it's kind of popping off of the card on the finished design. So I'm really glad I added it. I think it adds a lot of detail to the card that wouldn't have otherwise been there. So now that the skyline pieces are all in place, I'm going to work on the bottom area of the card. So I have some grout gray cardstock pieces that I trimmed down, and I also cut the top with the Stitch Snowdrifts Dynamics. This is just a really great Dynamics die set that I use quite a bit. It cuts a little bit of a slope detail and also has the little stitching detail underneath the cut line. So I cut a couple of those to kind of create the landscape underneath of our skyline image. And it's a little bit shorter width-wise than the panel. I don't know if you can tell there on the left-hand side, but I'm not worried about that because I know when I'm done all of the adhering of the cardstock pieces, I'm going to trim this whole panel out with a stitch rectangle die. So I'm not worried that everything doesn't kind of fit together right now because I know I'm going to trim those edges off. To create the sentiment, I used a sentiment stamp from the Adventurers Calling stamp set, and I'm using my Misty to stamp this on because we've done so much work on the card already. I didn't want to mess it up, and when I stamped it the first time, it didn't stamp perfectly, so I'm really glad that I had the Misty out to do the stamping. So I double stamped that sentiment in black ink on the bottom area of that little landscape scene that I've created, and now I'm going to take the red foil heart, and I'm going to add that just above the sentiment, and then I'm going to add some clear sequins kind of scattered around that whole scene, so you can see I have them on there now. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I cut the whole panel out with a stitched rectangle die, and then I added some silver stickles to the center of the sequins to complete the card. And that is going to bring us to today's creative challenge. So for today, we want you to create a card that has some kind of shine on it. It doesn't have to be foil. It can be shiny cardstock or anything that, kind of gives your card that shiny feel. And then make sure to link it up in the blog post, which is linked in the description box below. And you will be eligible if you participate in all 5 days for a $150 gift certificate to MFT Stamps. Also, if you leave a comment on this video, you will also be eligible for a $15 gift card just for leaving a comment. I also want to mention the winner from last week's MFTV video. Last week's winner was Kathy Stamps 101. There won't be an MFT video this week. This is it. We will be back next Monday with a new MFTV episode, and we will see you then. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy another week of Camp Create.